starts now, because The View is live. Biden-Abrams 2020? Some strategists say this could be the ticket that could win the White House. But could this plan backfire big time? Sizing up the competition. The president gives his picks of who he'd love to go head-to-head with in the election.
We could dream about that.
Plus, he's the Democratic candidate being called the one to watch in 2020. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg gives his political view on killing the Electoral College, saving the Green New Deal, and why it's time for America's first openly gay president. Let's fire up Friday Hot Topics with Whoopi, Abby Huntsman, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Meghan McCain, and Anna Navarro. Now, let's get things started.
Milton Berle used to go like this. No, 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 no. So the other day we were talking about roadblocks that Joe Biden could hit if he runs for president. And apparently his advisors have ideas they're kicking around. Listen to these ideas about Biden. Maybe he should run as a one-term president and then maybe announce that the vice president would be already chosen, like maybe Stacey Abrams, who's coming on the show next week, by the way. Maybe, yeah, we like her a lot. So he would announce that, and then he would be one term with Stacey Abrams, and then I guess after the one term's over, then Stacey could run. She wouldn't automatically become president,
right?
Unless something, God forbid, happened to Joe. And so that's an idea. What do you think about that? He says he would step down after 4 years.
It feels
and let
like
the younger generation, pick it up.
Yeah. It feels like premature
interpretation?
Okay. Yeah. Election ticket.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, let the process play out. You limit all your options if you pick now. You are giving in to the entire argument that you are too old. So you're saying, yes, because I am so old and I might die and drop dead, I'm only going to commit to one term.
Yeah.
It's just plain stupid. Let the process play out.
I think I'm the only one at this table, because I know you disagree with me on this too, Meghan. I actually think a one term for him campaigning, just sew this country back together, bring character back. Let's get on a different track as a country. I'm not against that. What bothers me is when people come out and say they're born to be president, or they're already talking about who their VP is, when it's like, take a breath. Yeah. You're not the nominee yet. I don't care if you're Joe Biden or not, and I love Joe.
But why does it bother you to say I'm born? That's confidence, exudes confidence.
I think we need a little bit more humility in this country.
Because Jeb was, at one point in time, considered someone who was 100% the front runner. He was going to be, Jeb Bush. He was going to be, I think there was a point in time that I thought that he was, going to be the front runner. He had raised, I believe, $100 million. Yeah,
yes,
he
did.
He raised $100 million, and, I respect Jeb, but got basically no place. So I think it's all premeditated. There's a few adages in politics that are always the case. There will be someone that comes up from the left, maybe somebody we're having on the show in a minute, who will go further than you anticipate, always. An unknown that will always go further. There's a lot of different variables. What is the Democratic Party? Are they going to go for a more traditional candidate versus a socialist? I would not assume Biden is automatically going to be the nominee, and I certainly wouldn't be talking about front runners or one terms right now. I agree with you. Let the process take its place.
Also, we don't know where we're going to be in a year. Like, think about the week the Access Hollywood video came out. I would argue that Trump wouldn't be president right now if the election were held that week, right? When the investigation opened up again into Hillary's emails, that was right before the election. We don't know where we're going to be when the election happens.
As you say, Meghan, no shade on Stacey, but I think that if he picked Kamala now as his running mate, he'd win in a minute.
Well, the thing
Biden
is, though,
and Kamala Harris.
But who's to say
me?
Who's to say Kamala?
You say shade all the time.
Oh,
But
no
that's
problem.
the thing. Who's to say
Kamala is not going
Yes,
to
that's
be the
what I
front
mean.
runner
She could be the
nominee.
You don't
I just
know.
think it's really premature. And the other thing is, Stacey Abrams, no shade to Stacey Abrams. No shade to her.
Where's the bell when we need it?
I think she's a strong candidate, no question. She hasn't announced. She said that she wouldn't be prepared to be president until 2028. So she's already indicated that she's not ready to be the president. I think people will remember that. And the other thing is, I think Democrats should be thinking about taking over the Senate, because if a Democrat does win for presidency, the Senate needs to be able to back that president. And Stacey Abrams did almost become the first black female governor in United States history. Why not run for Senate, and then perhaps Democrats can take over the Senate? That would be a really
A lot of
formidable
people are
person.
saying this, by the way.
But to be
A lot
clear,
of people, yeah, a lot of
No
people
one
are
is
saying
saying
she
that
should
he's
run
going to
again.
do this. This is
would be
just speculation
significant.
we're talking about.
But you know,
I just think that's the smartest
all of
play.
this age discussion with Biden is crazy, and it pisses me off. He's running against Donald Trump, guys. He's not running against Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
the Olympic runner.
okay.
You know,
Wait. Do you know
You know what? Compared to Trump, I'm an Olympic runner, okay? But Biden made the short list of candidates that Trump told Fox News he wants to run against and who his dream opponent would be. Look at this.
You want to run against Beto? My attitude is I wouldn't mind. I mean, I'd love to have Biden. I'd love to have Bernie. I'd love to have Beto. I mean, Beto seems to be the one that the press has chosen. The press seems to have chosen Beto.
Is this socialism versus
And
capitalism?
when I watch Beto, I say, we could dream about that.
I think the little men are going to come out of his hair. There's like a flying saucer.
Yeah.
Now, is he picking a fight with the wrong candidate? Because Beto is young, charismatic, good-looking. People are excited about him. He's never been to Russia. I mean, I think he's picking the wrong person. What do you
I agree with you on the hair, but I don't disagree with you on. I don't disagree with the president on that point, though. I think people underestimate the power the media plays in these elections, and I've said this from the beginning. The media played a big role in Trump becoming president, whether
And they
they
haven't
liked him or
learned
not.
anything?
He got so much free airtime, and if Beto was kind of their rock star pick, everyone's going to know who Beto is far more than other people that maybe deserve to get that same
This is my
attention.
problem with this narrative. Kamala hasn't made any errors yet, and she's not on the cover of Vanity Fair. She's not out there saying weird stuff about how you can keep your assault rifles, but then you're going to ban it. There's no weird poetry, weird stuff from her past, from high school being released. Beto has made a lot of errors, and I do think this
Like what?
conversation
What
about
are his errors
I
that are
just
so
gave
bad?
a bunch of examples. He said in an interview that he's okay with him keeping his assault rifle, but he wants to take everyone that you can keep yours, but you're going to ban them. Which, by the way, on the gun issue, you've polarized both sides. He's making errors at the media, and I'm just saying, for me, seeing some other candidates who are doing quite well, Kamala being one of them. And by the way, I'm still a conservative. I don't understand why the media isn't focusing more on some of the candidates who aren't making errors. So when you're talking about choosing people, he's on the cover of Vanity Fair saying he's born to do this. It's turning a lot of people off.
And it's a very crowded field. And to your point earlier, we're going to be hearing from Mayor Pete today from South Bend, Indiana. He's a hell of an impressive person.
He's 37 years old. I got hula hoops on.
I'm sorry, but he's a military. He's a military vet. He's a Harvard grad. He's a Rhodes Scholar. He's smart as hell. He speaks several languages. He's grounded. He's a man of faith. He's a concert pianist. He is a Renaissance man. I think he has a lot to offer, and we haven't heard enough from him.
Beto also threw his wife, that's true.
Yeah.
But Beto also threw his wife under the bus and said some things about her that were interpreted very negatively, that like, he can run for president because he has a wife that's at home taking care of things.
But I'd love to hear from
women
Beto,
don't-
too.
Beto,
He should
come
come
to
on the show.
Okay, one at a time, ladies.
I was going to say, he's invited. Beto's invited to the show, so we would love to chat
But
with
you
him.
know, it strikes me just how much passion, even just amongst us, Beto on
I
both
know.
sides
I like him.
promotes and provokes, and I think it's I think that's part of what his catch and his angle is. For me, he's made.
Let's go out of there. I just want to say that Jimmy Carter just became the oldest living American president at 94 years old and 172 days. Wow. And he's still building houses.
And he's still married after over 70 years.
Still married and never grabbed anybody. Coming up, Lena, so let me ask the audience, just clap if you regularly step on a scale. Just clap if you get on the scale a lot. Okay. Now clap if you don't. Okay, the scale has it. The scale has it.
Yeah.
So, Girls creator Lena Dunham just posted a video announcing that she is breaking up with her scale. There she is, talking about it. She threw away the whole of the scale, and she's breaking up with it. I need to break up with cake. What? So, what do you think? Who weighs? You weigh yourself?
No.
You don't weigh yourself.
No.
I do all the time. But you?
Yeah, no.
You don't either.
No, we have a smart scale. We have a smart scale in the house.
I have a dumb scale. Yeah, go ahead.
It never works properly. That's what I always say.
Which my husband does, because I think it does BMI and all this stuff, and then goes to the phone, and
no.
it's like very high tech. I don't know how to use it, so I don't mess
If
with
you're
it.
like 5 pounds overweight, the BMI says you're obese. I mean, it's annoying.
He does
There-
that.
Go ahead.
I have like a Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton relationship with a scale, you know. Sometimes we fight,
you cheat
sometimes
on
we
it?
like each other, we cheat on it.
Wow,
We,
that's some reference.
it's a love and hate
I want
thing.
to know
and
how many people to clap if you understood that reference. Very good. Go ahead.
I mean, are you just trying to tell me that all my references are about 60 years old?
Usually, yes.
Please stop. It has taken me many weeks of studying to figure out that there are actually five
Kardashians, I know.
Okay.
Oh, there are 5 of them?
There's 5.
I don't know how many
Oh, I
there
thought there were
are.
more.
See, we don't know.
Aye.
And what about you, girl?
I gave Sunny a tutorial the other day about everything Kardashian, because Meg and I have grown up watching these reality shows. I mean, I eat everything in sight right now because I'm
Good.
obviously pregnant. But my issue, and look, I'm someone that have been like I didn't struggle with weight growing up, and I'm honest about that. But as you get older, like you think about it, I think about health,
Yeah.
and I gained 5 pounds a week right now with twins. So I don't even like.
So do I, and I'm not pregnant.
What bothers me is when people are like, "Oh, honey, you're gonna lose it real fast," and I'm like, well, "What if I don't want to?" There's so much pressure after you have a baby to get right back into
That's
those
so
skinny
true.
jeans. I wear my
Forget it.
maternity jeans for a year,
Yeah.
and frankly, like. I like to do it the right way. I know I can come back at this table and have the same belly months after the babies are born, and you guys would love me and embrace
cares?
me, and it would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Because we're just
In
real
fact, we
people.
like you better if you
Yeah,
do
you're
that.
right. Whatever.
I used to be in a Weight Watcher group that whenever anybody lost weight, we would boo them. It's supposed to be the other way around.
That's great.
Yeah.
We have time for another one.
Yeah,
On
I
the
mean-
latest episode, oh, you have something you want to say?
Just I hate scales, and I think we should move past all this. Like I really like. We talk about dieting a lot on the show, and I just wish people would just be healthy and enjoy life, because God only knows what tomorrow holds, and I eat what I want when I want, and I really hate our cultural obsession with women's bodies and making them feel bad. I see little girls, like, I mean, I know a little girl who's on a diet at 13, and it breaks my heart hearing it. And like, I was so upset when I heard it, and the toxicity we're giving young women in this country about their bodies is so awful.
That's bad.
And I just wish we would just move past all
Yes,
of it in
that's
every
true.
way.
I actually
I
said that
agree.
to my husband the other night. We were playing with Isabel, who's just 1.5, and I said, "Can we keep her this way, this young, because she doesn't know anything about weight
Keep
right
her
now."
at that weight.
She
Like when
doesn't.
she's 3.
But she doesn't have any of those anxieties that so many people have as they grow older, especially women. And
Not yet.
if you want to keep them that innocent forever,
I agree.
You know, you have
You
those
can't keep
worries.
someone innocent forever. We have to create a world that's healthier for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in a place that even when I was younger, I remember like buying my prom dress, crying because my boobs couldn't fit into any prom dresses. And now I think if I were buying my prom dress, their designers actually designed
It's
stuff
designed,
for
absolutely.
different size girls. So
And
it's
you're
like
going to say,
things
"Hell
are
yeah, I
changing.
got beautiful big boobs."
And the one thing I think,
Own it. It's like my favorite part of pregnancy is I finally get some boobs, and I never want them to go away.
I've always encouraged
I think
sports.
your husband says the same. I think I heard your husband say the same thing.
I encourage sports, as Joy knows, and everybody. I encourage sports in the house. I don't think that we encourage girls enough
agree with that.
in terms of just sports and being outside. Everybody knows. I mean, my kids are always involved in hiking and biking and sports. My daughter plays basketball and volleyball and track. And it's not so much about weight and obsessing about what you look like, but I think it is about just being healthy and being outside and doing things that
Well,
you
okay,
love.
if we're all going to talk about what we want and what we wish for, I want liquid carbohydrates that include alcohol not to be counted by Weight Watchers.
I'm with you.
Okay. So the last time South Bend, Indiana mayor and Democratic presidential hopeful Pete Buttigieg was here, we were like, Pete who, and how do you say that name? But now he's being hailed as the one to watch in election 2020, and even being compared to Barack Obama. Wow, that's something. who is the second coming of Obama, huh? We'll see about that. My prayers may have been answered if that's true. So welcome, Mayor Buttigieg. Okay. But Mayor, when you were here last time, as I said, but you were just starting. Nobody really knew who you were. They couldn't pronounce your name.
Yeah.
That has changed in a very short time. How do you feel about it?
It's exciting. It's exhilarating. People still have trouble pronouncing my name, but at least they know who I am. And, the most compelling thing for us is that the more people hear our message, the more they seem to be responding. So it's gone from kind of trying to prove that I have a place or ought to have a place at a table to really trying to win the day for the ideas that I'm bringing forward.
Right.
So it's kind of an out-of-body experience sometimes, but it's gone really well.
Do you have a nickname that can help people?
Well, they call me Mayor Pete around South Bend, so that keeps it a little simpler.
But Jamie Shapiro, who's the executive producer of this segment, because I said I can't with this last name. She said it's Buddha Judge.
There you go. Yeah.
Buddha Judge.
Yeah.
Just like it looks, right?
No, it doesn't look like that at all. It's like Buddha gig.
The last time you were here, Mayor Pete, we were all. We're trying to conduct a serious political interview with a presidential candidate. Joy.
Go ahead.
The last time that you were here, I was so impressed with the way you were talking about the middle of the country, because obviously you're from South Bend. Yeah. In the past few weeks, you've been traveling, speaking. You're really gaining a lot of momentum. I've seen you on Fox News. You're going and speaking to the other side of the aisle. You're speaking to people in red states in the middle of the country. Do you think that's partially why you're gaining so much traction, is instead of ignoring people in the middle of the country, you're trying to speak to them as well?
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, how can you win? An election is supposed to be about our whole country, the whole thing. And we can't just concentrate on those areas where people, for the most part, already agree with us. Growing up in Indiana, a place where lots of people had very different political views than I did, I also learned that I could earn respect, not so much by pretending to be something I wasn't, but by explaining in good faith why I believe what I believe to people who maybe believe differently. And so even if they have a different view on a certain issue or a somewhat different set of values, if they know that at least what you have to say is coming from a place of values, I think you get a lot of credit for that. I was a little surprised that I'm the only one who's been on Fox so far, because there are so many viewers who may never hear what our party has to say at all if we're never going on those channels and explaining what we believe.
They will be. I think they're all going to go over there pretty soon. Not to Hannity, but to talk to the rational ones.
Right.
I said something earlier about you because I've been so impressed, more and more impressed every day. You're a military vet, a Harvard grad, a Rhodes Scholar. You went to Oxford. You are a concert pianist. Yeah. You speak many languages, including Norwegian, that you learned because you wanted to read a book that wasn't in English. A real Renaissance man. And you said something, and a man of faith. And I talk about my Catholic faith on this show a lot. Now, the religious right believes they have the cornerstone on morality, yet they have backed this president. Yeah. And you called him, I think, the porn president at one point.
Not exactly.
Not exactly, but something like that. And you said this: we need to see the emergence of a religious left in our country. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Well, when I go to church and the scripture that I hear, it is about protecting the poor. It is about looking after those who are marginalized in society. There's a lot about welcoming the stranger, which to me includes welcoming the immigrant. And so much of what Christ's teachings are about have to do with the way that we take care of the least among us. And I see now in the White House this celebration of how powerful you can be and how rich you can be, as if that's the same thing as virtue. And it just doesn't land. Now, I get that different people have different interpretations of their faith. And I also get that as somebody entering a political process, it's my responsibility to be there for people from any faith or from no faith. So it's not about imposing my religious views. But I think for those of us who think that our morality is something that needs to be in touch with our religious faith personally, then it's really important to explain that this is not, no one party has a monopoly on faith.
What is it that they are hooking onto with Trump, do you think, on that side?
That's part of the mystery,
yeah,
right? I think at the end of the day, it's power, right? I mean, you try to figure out how the vice president, for example, who has maybe a different understanding of Christianity than I do, one that's largely about sexuality. But that's even stranger, because how did he then attach himself to someone who's getting caught writing hush money checks to porn stars? And that's part of what I was talking about in that town hall.
It's called hypocrisy.
Right, and the Bible is full of, it talks about this. It talks about hypocrites. It talks about Pharisees. It talks, frankly, political officials and priests don't come off that well in the text of the New Testament. And so, to me, faith is largely about humility. It's about humbling yourself in the service of others.
Well, that's the Jimmy Carter was like that, is like that. Yeah. That was his religion.
And that sense of servant leadership, I think, is something we need a lot more of. And I do think there are the stirrings out there in our country right now of a religious left that understands that living your faith might also have to do with paying more attention to those most in need.
That's right.
And not celebrating those who already have the most wealth and the most power.
Can we talk about... Sorry to interrupt you, because I think this is interesting, if you don't mind, So for me, I don't like the framework of left and right in religion. Is there any way it could just be people of faith? And like, you know, for conservatives that maybe feel a little lost right now, are you still open to, you know, voters in that way? Because I don't like I think part of the problem we're all having right now is that everything's through the framework of a lens of left and right. And maybe it's just non-hypocritical faith instead of left and right.
Yeah, no, I think there's something to that. Look, again, my progressive values are connected to my interpretation of my faith, but that's not for anybody else. Everybody should be able to decide whether and if their understanding of faith has any political implications. But I think you're right. I mean, just sniffing out hypocrisy, whether it's around religion or anything else in the political process. And I think it's something in particular that my region, the Midwest, is really attuned to. We can tell. And also my generation that really puts a premium on authenticity. I think you have a much better chance of reaching, and of course we want to reach out to conservatives too, not by tricking them and pretending to be more, if I'm, you know, not aligned with somebody to where they shouldn't vote for me because I don't represent their values, then fine. But I'd like to reach more conservatives who just might, for the first time in a long time, because the Republican Party went through this hostile takeover by the current president, just might be open to different voices and different candidates.
Can we talk a little about the term Democrat socialist, democratic socialism? I'm from Miami. There's a lot of Venezuelan exiles, Cuban exiles, Nicaraguan exiles like me who fled socialism, who fled communism. And I think that term is being used as a scare tactic. It's being used to, provoke sentiments of fear and remind us of those countries. What does the term mean to you? Can you explain it to America?
I think in many ways it's a term that's lost its meaning because it's being thrown around politically. I mean, I'll give you an example. The Affordable Care Act. This was a piece of legislation. It was a way to improve our healthcare system created by conservatives. It got started at a conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation. And then the first time anyone tried it, it was a Republican governor in Massachusetts. And then a Democratic president, Obama, basically stole this Republican idea. It was based on market principles. And the moment it became associated with him, suddenly people are calling it socialism. They're talking like it's the road to winding up in the Soviet Union if we do this, which was a scare tactic. But it's also one of the reasons why this term has lost its meaning. I believe that capitalism is this incredibly powerful force that can do a lot of good. But I guess in the same way people talk about democratic socialism, I want to talk about democratic capitalism.
So it's not irredeemable?
That's good.
I love that.
As AOC
That's good.
said.
I have to take a break, but we're not...
We like to call you. One of the things I love about you is you talk at such a human level, and you can tell that you spend so much time with your constituents, and you know their concerns. And we talk a lot on this show about just the mood of the country, and sometimes the disconnect between what you're seeing on cable news and how people are feeling every day. And I'm sure you saw a recent poll this week at CNN that 7 in 10 Americans feel good about the economic conditions right now. Are you concerned that Democrats will miss the ball and focus on the wrong things when I'm sure you talk to your constituents, some that voted for you and Trump at the same time, that say, you know what, I don't like the guy, but I have a good job. I feel pretty good about my life right now.
Yeah, I think what's happening in the economy is very complex. We've seen growth over the last 10 years, and it's good growth. We've seen it in South Bend, but it's also leaving a lot of people out. And so we've got to talk about how to make that growth more inclusive, and we've got to talk about how to make it more secure. So even though the unemployment rates are low, I think a lot of people are wondering whether that job will be there for them in 3 or 5 or 7 years with technology and automation. And with all the changes that we're going through, where people our age and younger are likely to change careers more often than our parents change job titles. We got to prepare for that because that has implications for how we design our benefits, how we design our health care. And so I think speaking to that is something we can do in a hopeful fashion, but also a very serious fashion. Where we could go off the rails, I think, is if we just seem like this fountain of negativity because we've lost our minds about the current president, not without reason. right? But it can't be all about him. If we're always talking about him, then folks at home in the Midwest, for example, are going to say, you're not talking about me. And so the more we can make it about voters, not who's looking good in the committee hearing or who got the best zinger off on the cable news show, that's not, going where I live, that's not what decides whether people's lives are going well.
What do you think about this thing we were talking about before, where Joe Biden or somebody like yourself, whoever's running for president, would pick a vice presidential teammate before he's even primaried?
Yeah, to me, I think, I can't speak for anybody else. It would definitely feel presumptuous if I did it. And at the same time, there are different political strategies, and I respect that. I do think that, you know, talking about gender balance on the ticket is a good idea.
You do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you rule anybody in and out decisively, again, because first of all, you got to get there. But, you know, there's been a lot of research on companies that has actually shown that when a company has more gender balance in its leadership, like on its board, it's more profitable.
Yes.
And if that's true for companies, I bet you that's true for countries.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, is it okay? You know, Abby just talked about the economy, but there is a huge racial disparity in terms of the wealth gap. And I'm curious about reparations because you're so thoughtful. But I didn't think your answer during the town hall was very thoughtful. Are you supportive of cash reparations for the African American community?
I'm supportive of the concept of acting proactively to right these wrongs. I don't know that if it's perceived though as just a check in the mail system, I think we're going to have a hard time coming up with something that everybody can believe is fair. And so I think the question behind that question is, you know, are we willing to face the fact that present-day racial inequality didn't just happen, that it's a consequence of deliberate racist wrongs that have been perpetrated in the distant past and not so distant times? And if those inequalities were delivered intentionally, then we're going to have to be intentional about reversing them. And we need to have policies. We can't just assume that a rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, yes, the economic numbers are good. Look at the rates, for example, of black home ownership or the racial wealth gap, let alone the racial income gap. And you can see that that rising tide is not lifting all boats. So let's be intentional, for example, when we're deciding how housing funds are going to be spent. I use them a lot in the city to help people stay in their homes and repair their homes. Let's target those to neighborhoods that experience redlining, deliberate policies with a racist foundation designed to exclude people, and try to target those funds in a way that will reverse those harms.
The Japanese Americans got money.
Yeah.
Jewish community got money. Why
Europe.
don't African Americans deserve money?
Well, I think, you know, H.R. 40, which is named after the 40 acres and a mule promise that was given to former slaves, has been proposed in the House. It's going to set up a commission to look at this, and I think that's a good idea.
We're running out of time.
Oh, we are out of time.
We can have you here all day.
Well, you were terrific.
Who will survive?
It almost sounds like a fantasy. Shopping for products that you love from thousands of stores and getting paid to do it. But it is a reality with our sponsor, Rakuten. And here to tell us how to get in on it is lifestyle expert Elizabeth Warner. Always good to have you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. So great to be here. Thank you.
I love the idea of shopping and then actually getting paid to do that. So before we get to the products, how does that work?
So Rakuten is just launching in the United States. And when you shop through them, you can get back to 40% cash back on over 2,500 stores. So here's the thing. It's really easy to use. It's free to join. And if you're going to do some shopping, why not do it through Rakuten and get your cash back? So every quarter, you will get a big fat check or your cash back will be dropped into your PayPal account.
No reason not to do it. All right, let's get to some of the awesome products.
Yes.
Starting with this Breville multi-cooker. I have one of these. I love it.
So, yes, from Macy's, and I say thank you, Macy's, because this replaces 4 items that I have at home. It's a slow cooker, a pressure cooker, a rice cooker, and a steamer. Holds up to 6 quarts. Exactly, that's what I said. And it even has some of our favorite recipes pre-programmed in. So this actually retails for $313. But if we shop through Rakuten, we are going to get cash back 10%. That is amount of $31.
Pretty good.
Yes, amazing.
All right, a Lenovo smart display. What is this about?
Yeah, so this is amazing. It pairs with Google Assistant, so you can ask and find out what the weather's going to be like. It can help you turn on and off your lights. It even will play your favorite music. If you and the kids ask a question, guess what? It not only answers it, but it'll show images, videos, or maps to help supplement the answer. It's totally amazing. So now this one actually retails for $250. If you shop through Rakuten, you're going to get 8% cash back, which is $20.
Love it.
Saving while you shop. It's amazing. Yes.
All right, well, I can't wait to get moving again after this pregnancy.
Oh, yes.
Tell me about these.
Yeah, so Finish Line, I absolutely love. I have a 15 and 17-year-old daughter. Tons of sneakers for all the women in your family. I love all the great brands. You've got your Nike, you've got your Adidas. You have so many wonderful shoes. Well, these all range in price from $190 to $240. But if you shop through Rakuten, you're going to get 10% cash back. So that's up to $24.
Amazing.
Yes.
All right, I love Gap.
Yes.
I told you this.
Yes.
I love Gap, whether I'm pregnant or not, but it is so great when you are because they've got a maternity line. The fabrics are great. I'm even wearing a pair of their jeans.
Yes.
I love these. They are so
Aren't they
comfy.
so
I love
nice?
Gap. They're
Yes.
wonderful.
So Gap is a great destination for denim for the whole family, whether you're petite or tall. I love the maternity option for those you'll look online. And all the jeans range in price from $40 to $65. When you shop through Rakuten, you're going to get 10% back, so that's up to $6.50.
Unbelievable.
Amazing. Yeah.
All right, and finally,
Yes.
luggage.
Yeah, so it's that travel season right now. So these are from eBags. It's called the Wakefield Collection. You're getting 5 of these suitcases, a 28-inch, a 24-inch, a 19-inch, a garment bag, and a carry-on bag. They retail for $100. Now, when you shop through Rakuten, this one, 20% cash back. You will get a check for $20.
Love it.
Amazing.
And I'll tell you what, you're never going to miss that color on the baggage claim.
That's right.
I have a black suitcase, and I'm
You
like,
can
I can
never
never
find
find
it.
my bag. So I love that
Exactly.
blue.
Yes.
All right, so if you shopped all of these products, all these deals,
Yes.
how much money would you get in return?
You would get a check for $101.
Wow.
Amazing.
I love it. All right. Well, our thanks, as always, to Elizabeth Warner and our sponsor, Rakuten. We want you to start shopping now, so members of our audience are going home with $100 Rakuten gift card.
Well, we certainly had a nice time with Mayor Pete. I thought he was terrific.
Yeah, he should
What do
come
you
back.
think his
What a judge.
Buttigieg. Yes.
I'm going to call him Mayor Pete. But no, he said he has quality conversation.
Quality.
Yeah.
Quality.
Well, you know what?
Listen,
Listen,
you
you
guys,
guys,
it's Friday, so have a great weekend, everybody, and take a little time to enjoy your view, whatever it is.